ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्ण पाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुराः सुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So now Lord Krishna is talking about Nididhyasanam in the 6th chapter, and we have come to the 19th verse where Lord Krishna has started talking about the very Swarupam of Nididhyasanam. See, for this we have to understand one thing, that for Nididhyasanam to happen, enough of Vedanta Shravanam should have happened. Now here in Nididhyasanam, there is nothing new that is going to be produced. There is not going to be any new knowledge that is produced. But that Vedantic teaching that has been acquired by the buddhi from the Shastra, Guru Mukhena, whatever that particular knowledge has already been acquired, it is on that knowledge that contemplation is being done. Therefore, for Nididhyasana to happen, enough of Shravanam and Mananam should have happened. That is the reason why Lord Krishna is straight away not talking about Nididhyasana or meditation right in the first or second chapter. Second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, fifth chapter, all these chapters Krishna has talked about the Atma Swarupam. He has talked about the various sadhanas that are required by a mumukshu, starting from Chitta Shuddhi by following Karma Yoga, then Chitta Naischalyam by following Saguna Ishvara Upasana Yoga, then coming to Jnanam, doing enough of Shravanam, Mananam, and only that knowledge which has been gathered from the Shastra by Shravanam is that which is contemplated upon. Therefore, Nididhyasana actually requires, okay, it's a prerequisite for Nididhyasana to have heard sufficiently to the Shastra, Guru Mukhena, about the Atma Swarupam, about Atma Vichara. Now, somebody asked me, said that, you let me know when you start the 6th chapter. I'm only interested in Dhyana Yoga. I'm not much interested in anything else in the Bhagavad Gita. I'm only interested in meditation. You let me know. So I told him, see, it is not possible for you to go into Nididhyasanam, which is the topic of the 6th chapter. Now, if you want to do meditation, dhyana, then without even listening to Vedanta, there are other types of meditation. Saguna Ishvara Upasana, Manasa Puja, Shiva Manasa Puja, or Japa, Manasa Japa. All these are also upasanas or also dhyanas, but do not require do not require Vedanta Shravanam. But the very fact that you say Nididhyasanam, it means Vedantic meditation. Whether such a term can be used or not, I don't know. But to make it clear, we'll say a Vedantic meditation is what is called as Nididhyasana. And the topic of the meditation, the dhyayam, the object of meditation is the Atmavastu, and enough of the features or the Swarupam of Atmavastu should have been heard by means of Shravanam and Mananam. And therefore, now what we are dealing with is Dhyanam in the form of Nididhyasana. And in the 19th chapter, Lord Krishna said that the state of the mind of a person who, the yogi, the nididhyasaka or the arudha, that the third verse, arudha, this arudha, what is the state of his mind? That is, his mind is constantly on one thought, and that one thought is of the Atmaswarupam. Various Atmaswarupams can be taken. It could be Aham Nitya Atma Asmi, Aham Akarta Atma Asmi, Aham Abhokta Atma Asmi, Aham Asanga Atma Asmi. So any of the thought which is actually concentrating upon the Atmaswarupam can be taken. And the mind is constantly having one thought after the other, which is only thinking about, contemplating on Atmaswarupa. Therefore, this Nididhyasanam is also called as Sajatiya Atmavritti Pravaha. Sajatiya Atmaswarupa Vritti or Atmaswarupa Pratyaya Pravaha. Pravaha means it's a flow. It's a flow of thoughts. So we have to again understand that in Nididhyasana, the mind is active, the mind entertains thoughts, and all the thoughts are what has been heard, the Vedantic teaching that has been heard during Shravanam and made clear by Mananam. And in the 19th verse, Krishna likened this particular process of Nididhyasana to a non-flickering flame of a lamp which is kept in a windless place. What happens here? Because of the lack of wind, it looks as if though the flame is actually burning, though the flame has continuous movement in it, but there is no flickering. It looks as though it is one column of light. And that is how the mind of an Nididhyasaka is. Though the thoughts are moving, it looks as though it is one column of the movement of thought, which looks like as if it is a absolute standstill and one column of thought. And the mind does not go here and there, and there are no other vijatiya vrittis. That means the vrittis or the thoughts other than the atma vritti are not at all entertained by the mind. And this is the state of Nididhyasana. It's one of the dhyana swarupas Lord Krishna talked about in the 19th verse. Now let us see what he says in the next three verses, 20, 21, 22, 23, four verses. Lord Krishna talks about the dhyana phalam, dhyana swarupam and dhyana phalam together. So now he says in the next verse, 20th verse, Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati. So, yatra uparamate chittam, how yoga sevaya niruddham. That means by the constant practice of this nididhyasana, that is the meaning of yoga sevaya. It's not any other kind of a seva. By constantly practicing this process of nididhyasanam, the way it has been told in all these verses of the sixth chapter, starting from the bahiranga sadhanas, antaranga sadhanas, we have to recollect all of them. Whenever we study Bhagavad Gita, I'm again reminding, all the listeners that the Sangati is very important. We should know what has been talked about in the previous verses, because every verse is connected to the next verse, and it's like a flame, of, a lamp, where it is the contents of every verse have a connection with the previous verse and the next verse. Therefore, we have to remember what all Lord Krishna has talked about in the Bahiranga sadhanas and Antaranga sadhanas. So here what he says is Yoga Sevaya Niruddham Chittam. Okay, the first line. Yoga Sevaya. By constant practice of Dhyana Yoga or Nididhyasana, following all the instructions that have been given by Lord Krishna earlier, such a mind, Niruddham, such a mind which is under the mastery, or the mind which is trained, Niruddham, to be on the object of meditation, that is Atma Swarupam, such a mind is what? Uparamate. The mind literally falls back into the Atma Swarupam, and such a mind is what? Uparamate. Such a mind is a tranquil mind. It's a quiet mind, but it's not a thoughtless mind. Okay, it is an active mind. Even in sleep, we have a quiet mind and a tranquil mind. Okay, even in Samadhi, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, where the Samadhi means there is absolutely no thoughts at all. No. Vedantic meditation or Nididhyasanam is such a thing where the mind is awake, the mind is active, and the mind is constantly encouraging and constantly entertaining thought. But one thought, that is the thought of Atmaswarupa, which has been heard during Shravanam from the Shastra Guru Mukhena. So, Uparamaha, or this tranquil mind, quiet mind, equanimous mind, is one of the Swarupam of Dhyana, of the mind of a yogi who is actually in Dhyana. So, that is the Yoga Phalam, one of the Phalam, the one who has a tranquil and quiet mind. Then yatra cha eva atmana atmanam atmani pashyati. Many times Krishna uses these words. Atmanam, that means Atmanam means what? The Swarupam, the Atma Swarupam. Atmana, by the very mind itself. Atmani, in that same mind itself, the meditator, what does he see? What does he perceive? What does he, what does he, it's not a visualized see. You have to take the word see as, he doesn't see Atma Swarupam as something standing in front of him. No. Sees means what? He understands. He understands the Atma Swarupam to be what the Vedantic teaching during Shravanam has taught. Okay. Aham akarta atma. This let us take in context of Bhagavad Gita. Let us take aham akarta atma. Karmani akarma yaha pashyet. Now that particular thought, that swarupam of Atman is something which is beheld by me. This is what is called as Atmani, Atmanam, Atmana pashyati. And when he sees this, what happens? Tushyati, the last word, Tushyati. He is abiding in his Atmaswarupa Sukham. Okay, what is the meaning of Atmaswarupa Sukham? This Atma is of the nature of Sukham, of the nature of happiness. And then ultimately, the mind having run after so many things here and there, here and there, here and there for peace, security, and happiness, ultimately finds that that particular happiness, Sukham, which I was looking for, is nothing but my own Swarupam. So, in that Atma Swarupa Sukham, this yogi Tushyati, he revels or he is established in that Atma Sukham. What did we see in Sthita Prajna Lakshanas? Atmanieva Atmana Tushtaha. That is what is the meaning of this. So, what is the yoga phala here? One is a calm and tranquil mind in which the yogi or the dhyana yogi sees or beholds the very swarupam of his Atma as Sukha Swarupa Atma and revels in that Sukha Swarupa Atma. And now in the 21st verse also, Now, Krishna is going to talk about the yoga phalam in the form of, yoga. This. What exactly is that swarupam of yogam? Swarupam of yoga means it is the phalam, and swarupam of dhyana yoga is one and the same. So the next phalam in the 21st verse. Sukham atyantikam yattad buddhigrahyamatīndriyam वेत्ति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः. So what he says is that happiness in which the yogi abides, the Atma Swarupa Sukham, Sukha Swarupa Atmani, when he is abiding in that Atma Swarupa, he realizes what? Sukham Atyantikam. This is that happiness which cannot be compared with anything else. Why? Because most of the happiness we enjoy is got out of the indriyas. When the sense organs are in contact with their respective sense objects, what happens? There is a sense of happiness. But that happiness or that sukham is generated by what? That happiness is indriya sukham. It is indriya sukham. And what is the quality of indriya sukham? The indriya sukham is short lived because it starts at a point in time and it ends at a point in time. So indriya sukham is always very, very short lived. And the sukham also depends upon my mood, the mind, also the health of the indriyas, the circumstances, the surroundings, so many things it depends upon. Therefore, the indriya sukham that I have experienced once will not be the same indriya sukham even if I am experiencing the same object once again. So it is a perishable sukham. Whereas what is this Atma Sukham? This Atma Sukham is the Atyantikam Sukham for which there is no comparison. And he says that Sukham Atyantikam, okay, then it is Atindriyam. This Sukham is not generated by the Indriyas. Then what kind of a Sukham is it? It is Yat Tat Buddhi Grahyam. This sukham is generated by the knowledge in the buddhi. There is another way of expressing it, but to make it simpler, we can say buddhi grahyam sukham atyantikam. That sukham which is produced by this atmajnanam is in the buddhi. That jnanam is in the buddhi. So jnanajanyam sukham. That is what is called as buddhi grahyam. It is not the sukham generated by the indriyas. Therefore, it is atindriyam. And may you know, Veti, he knows this Nididhyasaka knows, yatra na cha yeva ayam sthitas chalati tattvataha. Such a person, this dhyana yogi, who has understood this as this satyantika sukham is not indriya sukham, but that which is jnanajanya sukham, does not go away from or slip away from that tattva. Tattvataha na sthitas chalati. From that tattva, from that atma sukha, from that atma swarupam, this person, the dhyana yogi, does not move away, does not slip away. So atyantika sukham is one of the swarupam of dhyanam and also the one of the dhyana yoga phalam. Then in the 22nd verse, the next one, which Krishna talks about as the dhyana yoga phalam. Yam labdhva chaparam labham manyate tataha yasmin sthito na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyate. So here, like atyantika sukham, this is the atyantika labham, the gain which surpasses all the other gains. So he says here, yam labdhva labham. This labham or this gain. What is the gain? Atma Swarupam. I am the result. I am my Swarupam. My, Swarupa Sukham. My Swarupa Shanti is the gain. And that gain which the dhyana yogi has gained, labham, compared to that, aparam labham na adhikam manyate. No other gain is better or higher than this. This is the highest gain. This is the paramam shanti. This is the nirvana paramam shanti. Okay, paramam shanti madhigacchati. This labha, this gain of the swarupa jnanam, or abiding in the Atma Swarupa, that is the highest gain beyond any other gain. It is the Sukha, Swarupa Sukha, beyond any other Indriya Janya Sukha. So it is the ultimate gain after which no other gain becomes important. It doesn't mean that the dhyani does not gain other things. He may also gain. There may be other times where the dhyana yogi also enjoys whatever Ishvara has given. Ishvara may give situations which give rise to sukha bhoga. But then, even then, the dhyana yogi knows that all these sukhas are indriya janya sukhas which are temporary, and the labha that I get out of such sukha is actually very, very temporary. And so manyate, who the dhyana yogi manyate, na adhikam labham tataha. There is no other gain more important than Atma Swarupam, abiding in Atma Swarupam, knowing my own nature, what it is, and other gains are no longer important. Therefore, the mind no longer goes after other gains. Why? The mind has gone after lives and lives. The mind has gone after so many things for the sake of this a few seconds or a few minutes of happiness. And now, when the sukham atyantikam and param or paramam shanti rupa labham, when this person has got, then no other gain distracts him or attracts him. Yasmin sthito na gurunapi dukkhena vichalyate. Another very important dhyana palam. Guruna dukkhena. Even the most colossal disaster, one of the even the greatest disaster in his life, whatever may be. Our disasters are what? Most of our disasters are because of ahankara, mamakara. My son, my daughter, this one having that, I have. So all my disasters are related to the body mind sense complex and a few things which are connected to this ahankara, mamakara. Therefore, what he says is, Guruna api dukkhena yasmin sthitaha na vichalyate. Such a person who's abiding in his Atma Swarupam, whatever kind of a dukkha, he may be any kind of a calamity, any kind of a disaster, does not, take him away from his Atma Swarupam. Guruna api here, please understand, Guruna means whatever heavy. Guru here does not mean the Guru who is teaching. Guru also means heavy. Guruna api means the dukkha caused by even the greatest disaster will not make his mind chanchala or make his mind slip away from his Atma Swarupam. Okay, so it is not the dukkha caused by the guruna api dukkhena. Don't think like that. It is the dukkha of any kind of a even the worst kind of a calamity does not disturb such a person. And then what happens? Why do we call this particular sukha as atyantika sukham? Why do you call this particular labham as that labha which is so great that no other gain is important? Why is it? That is explained in the next verse, in the 23rd verse, as one of the swarupam or phalam of dhyana yoga. Tam vidya dukha samyoga viyogam yoga sannitam sanishchayena yoktavyaha yogo nirvinna chetasa. So he says, what is this sukha? Krishna describes this sukha in a very wonderful way. What is sukha? Dukkha samyoga viyoga. See, just understand this. Okay. Now, what Krishna says and what our Shastras say is, Sukha is our natural nature. It is by nature, by my Atma Swarupa, Sukha is the natural state, whereas Dukkha is what is acquired, which is abnormal, which is artificially acquired. Why? Because of my samyoga or my connection with the body mind sense complex anatma. Therefore, the Dukkha is nothing but Dukkha samyoga. Okay? Anatmani. Okay? Anatma samyogena Dukkha samyoga. Okay? So, the Sukham, which is my nature, my very, very natural state of being, my Sukha, like a child is. You know how children are. They're naturally happy. You know, they may cry when there is some pain, but naturally, they're very happy because it's the natural state of being is to be happy. When one has dukkha, the dukkha is actually a samyoga. I have connected myself with something which causes dukkha, and that dukkha is actually covering up the sukham, which is my real nature. Therefore, what he says is there is no need to bring sukha from outside because sukha is your very nature. How to bring about that natural sukha in you? Dukkha samyoga viyogena. Remove the dukkha which is artificially acquired. Your Atma Swarupa Sukham will automatically shine. It is like, sun which is covered by, supposing there is sunlight and I'm closing my windows and covering the curtains with curtains. There is, really speaking, sun is there. What do I need to do? I just need to draw the curtains and the sunlight comes in. Similarly, I have to dissociate myself from the dukkha samyoga. When I remove the dukkham, when the samyoga or connection with the dukkham is removed, sukham need not be brought in. Whatever is naturally there, the sukha swarupa, I, shines by itself. Let me give you another example. It is said that, see, we all experience it. Health is the natural state of this body. Okay, it is a natural state of this body. Fine. Now, if there is a disease, what is the disease? It is an artificially acquired something from a bacteria or virus or this or whatever it is. It is an artificially acquired something which is covering the health, and I'm not able to experience the state of health in me. That means roga samyogena. There is roga samyogena, swasthyam. My swasthyam I am not able to see. Now, what does a doctor do? A doctor does not give you health. Remember this. None of us doctors are giving you health. We are only removing the disease that is covering the health. So, roga samyoga viyoga we are doing, the doctors. And then ultimately, your own health, swasthyam, shines by itself. No doctor can give you health. The doctor can only remove the disease which is covering the health, that this natural state, and your natural swasthyam. That is why health is called as swasthyam. Swastaha, abiding in my healthy nature. Health just manifests itself. Like roga samyogena rogaha, dukkha samyogena dukkha. When dukkha samyoga viyoga happens, sukham naturally shines. When roga samyoga viyoga happens by medicines, what the doctor does by diagnosing the disease, the sukha, the swasthyam or the health automatically shines by itself. One patient told me, Doctor, I'm so grateful to you. You have kept me healthy for the last 25 years. I said, No, sir, I have not kept you healthy. Your very nature is health. Whenever some roga samyoga has happened, okay, to whatever extent I have diagnosed it and removed that roga samyoga. And your natural health has kept you healthy. No doctor can give you health. Okay, so this is here he says, tam vidyat, tam atyantikam sukham vidyat, as what? Dukkha samyoga viyogam. When the unnaturally acquired, artificially acquired samyoga with dukkha. How is that samyoga acquired? By connecting myself unnecessarily with anatma. with this body mind sense complex and with other body mind sense complexes, thinking that because of me only these people are happy, because of me only these people are healthy, what can I do to spare them from? No, all that is dukkha samyoga. It is in our hands to get out of dukkha samyoga. And what is sukha? Dukkha samyoga viyoga, which happens in nididhyasana. That is yoga sannitam, he said. Sanishchayena yoktavyaha. This is the nishchaya of a dhyana yogi. Yoga nirvinna chetasa. Nirvinna chetasa means the one who has an unflinching commitment to dhyana yoga. He understands that the dukkha is artificial, it is not my nature. My Atma Swarupam is Sukha Swarupam, and that can be got not by getting it from outside. Dukkha Samyoga Viyogena Eva Atma Sukham. What happens? It manifests itself. It just abhivyaktam bhavati. Atma Sukham abhivyaktam bhavati. Dukkha Samyoga Viyogena Atma Sukham Swasthyam. Okay? It becomes abhivyakta. So this is the final Swarupam of Dhyanam, where there is no dukkha. The dukkha is removed. That's why Dhyana Yoga was called as Dukkha. In the last class, last session we saw. This Dhyana Yoga is called as Dukkha. It removes the dukkha. How? By removing the very samyoga with the dukkha. Some dukkha samyoga viyogam is actually the way, that is the process by which dhyana or nididhyasana gives me the sukham. Not even gives me, it makes me express, brings into light my own atma sukham, which is atyantikam sukham, atyantikam labha. Then in the next, from the next verse, what happens here? Again the dhyana swarupam is talked about. Krishna feels maybe Arjuna and we have not understood so far. So again he talks about what is the process of dhyanam, how one should really get into dhyanam. Again he talks about the shama, or the management of the mind for an arudha, which I told in the third and fourth verses. He says, Kincha sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan sheshataha manasaivendriya gramam viniyamya samantataha. So how should you now get back into this dhyanam? What is the process of dhyanam? Again, Krishna wants to look at the compassion of the Lord, look at the compassion of the Guru. In spite of having given so much in detail, still he repeats it. How should you get yourself established in dhyanam or nididhyasanam? He says, Kaman sarvan tyaktva. Kaman, all the, objects of desire to be kept outside the mind, which are as such outside the mind. By what? Sankalpa prabhavan kaman. Now, all the desires for the objects of desire which are outside are brought about by sankalpa. What is sankalpa? Constantly thinking about something, constantly planning about something. Idam me syat, idam me syat, idam me syat iti, constantly ruminating over something, which is called as the sankalpa. And it is that constant planning, constant ruminating over this may happen to me, this should happen to me, is what gives rise to the desires for the objects of senses. So what he says, sankalpa prabhavan kaman, all the kamas, desires which are propelled by this constantly ruminating thinking over the sankalpa, sarvan asheshataha, sarvan kaman along with sankalpa, asheshataha tyaktva, let them all be outside. Let the objects of senses be outside. Let there be no sankalpa, at least for those 15-20 minutes initially as a dhyana yogi. When I'm practicing nididhyasanam, sitting in one place, let there not be any sankalpas which give rise to desires. Sankalpa prabhavan kaman tyaktva sarvan asheshataha. All of them without leaving anything behind. Manasa eva indriya gramam. Indriya gramam. Let the mind take the charge of the indriya gramam. Gramam here means the group of indriyas. Grama means group. It's not a village. Why is a village called gramam? A group of houses is called as gramam. Similarly, a group of anything can be called as grama. Similarly, here, indriya gramam. The group of indriyas are by the mind, manasa eva viniyamya. Shamadama. We have already talked about it. What did Krishna say? Arudhasya shamayeva karana uchyate. Therefore, what is shama? That is the tranquility of the mind by which the mind is in charge of itself, in charge of the sense organs. Viniyamya samantataha. The sense organs are not running here and there, so the mind also is not running after them here and there. So, to start Nididhyasana, for the process of Nididhyasana, it is very important to have a Shamanvita Manaha. Because now again he has come back from Yoga Phalam and Yoga Swarupam, Dhyana Yoga Swarupam and Phalam. He's come back now again back to the process of Dhyanam. Dhyana, Vidhi is come back to how you're supposed to, how should your mind be, how should your sense organs be. This again Krishna is talking only because he knows that it is difficult to understand these things being very, very subtle. But then he says, because Krishna understands, he says, it's not very easy to have this niyama over the sense organs and mind, because by very nature, the sense organs and mind are the ones which are outwardly situated. They are very, very easily they get distracted and slip out. So what should you do? He says, don't get troubled by it. In the next verse, he says, Shanai Shanai Uparamed Buddhya Dhriti Grihitaya Atma Samstham Manah Kritva Nakinchidapi Chintayet. So he says, Shanaihi Shanaihi Uparamed. Don't force the mind. Don't try to pull back the mind with violence. Let there not be any kind of a violence on the mind or sense organs. And let all the time, every time, shanaihi, every time the mind slips out, the sense organs slip out, very, very lovingly, okay, without any violence, let the mind and sense organs be brought back into Uparama. Just imagine a small child who is sitting in the lap of the mother. Every few seconds it gets up and starts running. And what does the mother do? She will hold the child's arm and pull it back and again put that child on her lap. In another 15 seconds, it will get up again and start running. But what does the mother do? Without any violence, again and again, she'll draw back the child onto her lap. Similarly, with love, one has to pull back the mind and the sense organs. How? Buddhi grahitaya. The buddhi has to constantly, with dhriti grahitaya buddhya. It has to be with commitment. The buddhi has to constantly bring back the mind and the sense organs, not with violence, but very, very slowly into Shama and Uparama. And where is the mind brought back? Atma samstham manakritva. The mind has to be brought back all the time into Atma samstham. It should be brought back into the Atma Swarupam. Now, what is the meaning of Atma samstham manam? Atma samstham manam means let the mind be brought back to contemplate on whatever Vedanta teaching I have heard in Shravanam about the Atma Swarupam. That is what is meant by Atma Samstham Mana Kritva. Let the mind be, concentrated in, or upon the Atma. Now, this is the meaning you may get by reading this. Let the mind be in Atma. Everything is in Atma. The mind is also in Atma. There's nothing beyond Atma. There is nothing outside Atma, which we have already seen in the second chapter and in the fourth chapter. Now, what is the meaning of Atma Samstham Manakritva here? Let the mind be constantly contemplating over Atma Swarupam, which has been actually given or which has been acquired during my Vedanta Shravanam. That is the meaning of Atma Samstham Manakritva Na Kinchidapi Chintayet. Let there not be any other thought. Let the mind have one thought, that is only Vedantic thoughts, one after another. It may be one thought, Aham Atma, Aham Nitya Atma Asmi. Next, if I am Nitya Atma, then I should be Asanga Atma. If I am Asanga Atma, I should be an imperishable Atma. So, I am that consciousness, that Chit Swarupa Atma. So, it is unlike Japa where I say Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya again. No. Here what it means is the mind is constantly having thoughts related to the Atma Swarupam. The Atma Swarupa thought may be different in the sense one thought may be of one particular Atma Swarupam, another thought may be the other Swarupam, but on the whole, the mind does not stray from the Atma Swarupam which has been acquired during Shravanam. Na kinchidapi chintayet, not thinking of anything else. Why? When you're sitting in dhyanam, some sound may happen, some car horn you will hear. Immediately the mind will start, oh, this horn, this sounds like this one's horn from this particular car. Oh, this same car, somebody else. So from that one sound of a vehicle horn, the mind can go to hundreds of things. So what he says here is, let the mind constantly have the same thought of Atma Swarupa over and over again. Sajatiya Atma Swarupa Vritti Pravaha. Let this be constantly there. Na kinchidapi chintayet. Then the next one he says that how long should you do it? How many minutes should we do it? So Krishna says here, yato yato nischarati manaschanchalamastiram tatastato niyamyaitad atmanyeva vasham nayet. So Arjuna, it's not going to happen in just 1 day or 2 days. It cannot be a meditation course of 10 days or 3 weeks in which by the time I come out, my mind is Atma Samstam Manakritva. No, it doesn't happen. Yato yato nischarati. As and when, whenever, as long as this mind tries to slip out of nididhyasana, because manaha chanchalam asthiram. The very nature of the mind is chanchalam and asthiram, and therefore don't get disturbed or disheartened by this. Shanaihi uparamet yataha yataha yato yato chanchalam asthiram manaha nischarati. Whenever it is slipping away, very, very patiently you bring it back. Krishna doesn't say how long it takes. It all depends on our preparation of the mind. That is how much of karma yoga we have done and how much chitta shuddhi is there, how much chitta naishchalyam is there, how much of Vedanta Shravanam Mananam has happened. All these things, it depends on all those things. Tataha niyamya yetad. As and when the mind slips out, then and there, tataha, niyamya, may you have mastery. How? Shanai uparamed. Niyamya yetad atmani eva vasham nayed. Let it be made to abide in Atma Swarupam. Same thing. Atma Samstham Manakritva means Atmani evam vasham nayed. So let this person be a vashi. That's what said Arudhasya Shamah Karanam Uchate, the Vasha or the mastery over the mind as to recognize that the mind is moving out. That is the first. We don't even recognize many times. It's all our experience, isn't it? In Japa, the mind has long back gone somewhere. We are not even aware of it for a long time. At the end of 20 minutes or something, suddenly, when did I slip out of the japa? When did the mind start wandering here and there? That itself I am not aware. So here a person has to be very, very awareful of the mind slipping out, and yato nischarati tatastato niyamya. Immediately it has to be brought back. Uparamate yatra There it has to be made to be Atmasamstham or Atmaniyeva Vasham Nayet. May the buddhi do this with what? Dhriti grahitaya buddhya. With dhriti, with commitment. One cannot be impatient in dhyana yoga. Impatience has no role. One has to be extremely patient and be after it. Otherwise, it is not going to happen. Then again, the yoga phalam is talked about here. He says, Prashantamanasam henam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutamakalmasham. So he says here that Krishna says, this person who is a prashanta manasam, the one whose mind is equanimous, for such a yogi, hyena yoginam, sukham uttamam, that atyantika sukham, Atma Sukham, Swarupa Sukham, which he was abiding in. Upaiti. Upaiti means what? He comes face to face. Upaiti means he does not get, as I told you. He beholds, he realizes, he understands. It's a process of understanding. See here has to be taken as Upaiti means he gets. There is nothing to get here, as I told you. Sukham is not something to be got. It is to be understood as my own Swarupam. Sukham upaiti shanta rajasam. The mind which is raja oriented. The rajas in the mind, shanta rajasam. The mind is quietened and shantam. And then what happens? Brahma bhutam akalmasham. So he is able to get that samyak darshanam, which we have talked about, which will come again also. What is this samyak darshanam? That's also going to come. This will be the phalam of Dhyana Yoga. What is it? Samyak Darshanam, Brahma Darshanam. Here again, it doesn't mean I see Brahman standing in front of me. No. I see, I behold, I understand that I, this consciousness, is nothing but a kalmasham, pure, taintless Brahman. And with this darshanam, this vision about myself, is called as Samyak Darshanam. And how a Samyak Darshi sees himself, his own body, mind, sense complex, and the others is going to be told in the next few verses. So the same thing, the 27th verse only, is repeated here in the 28th verse in a little different way. Krishna says, Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmashaha Sukhena Brahma Samsparsham Atyantam Sukhamashnute. Again, Dhyana Phalam is being talked about. Of course, Acharya Shankara, in his Bhashyam, for these two verses, gives a very, very different and deep meaning. But then, if we understand that both the 27th and 28th verse talk about the beholding or the vision of oneself as the Sukha, is Yunjan Yevam Sadatmanam. Sada Atmanam Yunjan. Constantly abiding in that Atman during Nididhyasana. Of course, now I am sitting for half an hour and doing sometime or the other. It has to become a walking, talking Nididhyasana. All the time I should be there. This is a preparation initially to prepare the mind. Sada Atmanam Yunjan. In this way, Yevam Yogi, who is already a Vigata Kalmashaha. He is a Vigata Kalmashaha. Already all the Ragadveshas have been, given out, given away by, or they are diluted by Karma Yoga. Chitta Naischalyam has been got. Enough Vedanta Shravanam Mananam has happened. And the Dhyanam also has made him Vigata Kalmasham. He's already Vigata Kalmasham. Sukhena. Anayasena Sukhena. He is able to abide in this Sukha Swarupam. Brahmaspansam Sparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. Anayasena Sukhena. Without any effort, after some time, when he gets used to this mind being under one's mastery. Brahmasparsam Sparsham Atyantam Sukham Ashnute. Brahmasamsparsham Sukham means Atma Swarupa Sukham. Ashnute means he abides in it. He experiences. Again, experience is not the word because it's not an object of experience. Svanubhava, Anubhuti, that is directly perceives oneself as Sukha Swarupa Atma Aham Asmi. When the mind is abiding in Atma Swarupa, it is called as Brahma Samsparshajam Sukham. The mind abiding in the Swarupa Sukham of Atma beholds, has the vision of oneself as the Sukha Swarupa Atma. Atyantikam Sukham Ashnute. That is the vision he has, which is called here by Krishna as Brahma Samsparshajam Sukham or Atma Samsparshajam Sukham. That Sukham, which is a result of understanding myself to be that Atma Swarupa. And for such a person, this person, what is this Samyak Darshanam? How does he see everything around him? How does he see his own body, mind, sense complex? This Samyak Darshanam, Brahma Samsparshajam Sukham, this vision that he has, what is that vision? That is what is going to be told in the 29th and the 30th verses. And Bhagavan Acharya Shankara says, explains these two verses in the Bhasha as Mahavakya Vichara. What is Mahavakya? Jiva Ishvara Abheda Vakyas. Jiva Ishvara Aikya Vakyas are called as Mahavakyas, which will come from 13th chapter onward. And Acharya Shankara says that the 29th and 30th are nothing but Lord Krishna giving a glimpse of Mahavakya Vichara. So now we'll not go into the details of the Mahavakya Vichara, but what is Samyak Darshanam? What he says is Sarva Bhutastamatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. He understands that I, this Atma, I, this consciousness, is the same consciousness in every other jiva. In fact, every jiva, every object is situated in me, the Atma, Chitrupa Atma. So what does he say? Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam. Okay, that consciousness which is Sarva Bhutastham in all the beings. Sarva Bhutani cha Atmani. He sees all the objects in the Jagat situated in this Atma. Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma. That means that consciousness, Kshetrajna, I am the very consciousness, the Kshetrajna in every other jiva. Actually, the entire universe with its living and non-living, sentient and insentient objects and beings, the entire Jagat is situated in this consciousness, and I am that consciousness. Chit Swarupa Atma Iti. This person is able to see everything as Atma Swarupa. Therefore, he is called as a Samadarshi. We saw that earlier also, isn't it? He sees who all Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shopake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha, 5th chapter, 18th verse we saw. Then Samaloshtashtma Kanchanaha, in this chapter we saw. Okay, Suhrun, Mitra, Ari, Udasina, Bandhu. There also, what does he mean? What does Krishna mean? He sees one consciousness in everything, everywhere. So he's a Samadarshi. And this Samadarshanam is what? The Yoga Phalam, Dhyana Yoga Phalam, Nididhyasana Phalam. And the 30th verse talks about the same Phalam of Samyak Darshanam. And what does he say here? He puts the same thing in another way, like that in the 28th and 29th, 7th and 28th verse, we saw the Sukham Matyantikam, how it was put from different angles. Here also, the Samyak Darshi's vision of the entire universe is talked about in these two verses from a different angle. So we saw in 29th verse how he sees the same consciousness in everything, and he sees everything abiding in the same consciousness. 30th verse says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvancha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. Krishna says here, he talks here as Ishvara. Krishna talks here as Brahman. He does not talk here as Mr. Ishvara, Mr. Krishna or an individual. So he says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra. The one who sees me, Ishvara, in everything, everywhere, sarvatra, sarvancha mai pashyati. This dhyana yogi, the Samyak Darshi, sees everything in me. Krishna says me, Atma or Brahman. Tasya aham na pranashyami. I am never away from him. Why? Because he sees me also as his Atma. So I and he, Jiva Ishvara Aikyam, it is the same Atma. He is with a different Upadhi. With the Mr. X Upadhi, I am with Mr. Krishna Upadhi. Body, mind, sense complex are different, but I am the same Atma. It is the same consciousness in me, Krishna, and in you, Arjuna. Therefore, the one who sees this one consciousness in me, okay, that is in Krishna, the one who sees everything in me, this consciousness, Mam, Mai. So Krishna is talking about here as in me. Here, Mam Pashyati, Mai Pashyati means Mai Ishvare, Mam Ishvaram Pashyati, Sarvatra. Okay, Sarvam Mai Parameshware, Ishvare, Brahmani Pashyati. So the one who sees everything in me and who sees me in everything, what was talked about in the previous verse, what did he say? Sarva Bhutam Sthitam Atmanam, Sarva Bhutani Cha Atmani. Same thing, sees me in everything and sees everything in me, and I am never away from him. I never become separate from him. Na me pranashyati, cha cha me na pranashyati. He is not away from me. I am not away from him. See, I can always say that you are not away from me, but I can be away from you, isn't it? So here, when he says both, sa na pranashyami, tasya aham na pranashyami. I am not away from him. I am not different from him. Sacha me na pranashyati. He is not away from me. He is not different from me. Everybody is like that. All of us are not different from Krishna. All of us are that consciousness, but we do not know that. The yogi knows. The vision of the yogi is the right vision. We are also not different, not separate from Bhagavan. We are also not different from Brahman or Ishvara. But at present, we have a dukkha samyoga. That samyoga is blinding our vision. What Vedanta is doing is only clearing that which is obstructing my vision and giving me the clarity of vision, clarity of perception, clarity of vision to see myself and to see everything around me the way it is, for what it is. This is what is called as Samyak Darshanam, the clarity of vision, the perfect vision, the clarity of perception. That is what is called as Samyak Darshanam. And what Vedanta does, what all this Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Vedanta Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, this whole ladder of sadhanas is ultimately meant to give me this Samyak Darshanam, nothing else. Samyak Darshanam is not gaining anything from outside. Samyak Darshanam is to have the correct vision, the right vision to see myself what I am, to see the Jagat, entire Jagat as what it is, and to see myself not separate from Ishvara or Brahman, to see Ishvara or Brahman not separate from myself. Tattvamasi or Aham Brahmasmi Mahavakya is what Krishna is talking about in these two, this one. So this is the Dhyana Phalam. So again in the 31st verse, the same thing is being talked about, just an extension of the same thing that we saw in the 29th and 30th verses. Now, because of the lack of time, I think we will stop with this and we'll continue with this in the next session. Om Nandantu Sadhaka Sarve Vinashyantu Vidushakaha Avastha Shambhavi Mestu Prasannostu Guru Sada Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkham Apnuyat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.